The question on most people's minds is, does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rule by His mercy, or does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rule with His justice? Well, this hadith gives us thought, and it just helps us understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all merciful. So it's narrated in Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim and in multiple places that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala willed for the creation to manifest, that means when the creation started coming into being by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed, and the narrations say that it was written above the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it says that Allah's mercy supersedes His anger. And that, subhanallah, is so powerful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it on the arsh, or rather sometimes it says above the arsh in other narrations, that my mercy overcomes my anger. And that gives us hope. That gives us an understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rules over us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala governs us by His mercy and not by His justice. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was to be just with us, then we would never ever be able to fulfill the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why He rules over us with His mercy. And that's why also in Al-Quran it says Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arsh istawa, that Ar-Rahman, the Rahman Himself subhanahu wa ta'ala, He used the word Ar-Rahman to say He rules over His kingdom. Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arsh istawa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word Ar-Rahman to tell us that He rules over His kingdom, using that name of His, Ar-Rahman. And it also tells us something else. It tells us how we should, as Muslims, be with each other. We should let our mercy overcome our anger. And that is the sunnah way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. This deen is only a deen of mercy. And being a Muslim means letting your mercy supersede your anger. And always, if we let mercy through, there is a huge chance that we will be successful in this life and the next one, and that we will help people find success in the next life as well. Because that is what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam did. He came as a mercy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.